Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Uzma Jafri. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 12th of June. India overtakes UK, becomes fourth worst hit country from COVID-19. Troops should not fully withdraw if Al-Qaeda remains in Afghanistan, says US General. And businesses hope to bounce back as Nepal eases lockdown. And now for all the details. India's COVID-19 cases climbed to the fourth highest in the world, overtaking the UK on Thursday. Even as the country reported another highest single-day rise in new infections and deaths, India witnessed its highest ever spike of 10,956 cases on Friday, taking the total number of cases to 297,535.
India's COVID-19 tally on Friday witnessed its highest ever spike of 10,956 cases and 396 deaths during the last 24 hours. The total number of coronavirus cases in the country now stands at 297,535, including 141,842 active cases. India is now world's fourth worst hit country, overtaking the UK on Thursday, raising the prospect of the return of a lockdown just days after it was lifted. Anxious to revive the economy after nearly 70-day lockdown, the government this week opened most public transport, offices and shopping malls, even though health officials said the country was weeks away from flattening the curve of infections.
The way it is, no, this doesn't seem to be flattering very soon. No, June, I'm sure, till July, or even I say mid-August, possibly before this flattening happen, probably we are going to see a big, huge rise in number of cases.
Meanwhile, in wake of the increasing cases of coronavirus in capital New Delhi, the head of Delhi's Jama Masjid, one of the country's biggest mosques, ordered a halt to congregation till June 30. Supreme Court of India also sought a report from Delhi authorities saying patients faced a horrendous situation in packed hospitals. The city needs 80,000 hospital beds by the end of next month. It now has 11,000, the government has said. It also pulled up Delhi government over a dip in coronavirus testing at a time when cases are rising faster than before in the national capital.
India and China are maintaining military and diplomatic engagements to peacefully resolve the border row in India's northern Ladakh region at the earliest, India's Foreign Affairs Ministry has said. Chinese Foreign Ministry has also said that the two sides have had effective communication through diplomatic and military channels and have reached a positive consensus.
India and China are maintaining military and diplomatic engagements to peacefully resolve the eastern Ladakh row at the earliest, India's foreign ministry said on Thursday. At a weekly media briefing, spokesperson in India's foreign ministry, Anurag Srivastava, said both sides have agreed to work for an early resolution to the issue in keeping with broader guidance provided by leaders of the two countries for ensuring peace and tranquility along the border areas. The comments came amid a standoff between Indian and Chinese troops in India's northern Ladakh region after a skirmish last month in northeastern Sikkim region.
The two sides are therefore maintaining their military and diplomatic engagements to peacefully resolve the situation at the earliest, as also to ensure peace and tranquility in the border areas.
Meanwhile, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying said during a news briefing in Beijing that the two sides have had effective communication through diplomatic and military channels and have reached a positive consensus. This comes after Indian and Chinese military commanders made progress in talks to defuse the standoff in Ladakh region. According to Indian officials, the two armies have since thinned out some forces, but soldiers, tanks and other armoured carriers remain heavily deployed in the high-altitude region.
Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan said on Thursday that those who violate the government's safety protocols against coronavirus would be locked up. His remarks came as the country recorded over 6,000 cases for the second consecutive day amidst reports that people were openly flouting rules.
Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan on Thursday said that those who violate the standard operating procedures or SOPs issued by the government against coronavirus would be locked up. His statement came as the country recorded over 6,000 cases for the second consecutive day amidst report that people were openly flouting the guidelines since the lockdown restrictions were eased in early May. Khan reiterated that the government expects cases to peak in July, adding that the public must now consider taking precautionary measures their duty.
और जिस तरह की मैं लापरवाही देख रहा हूँ, मुझे अफसोस से कहना पड़ता है कि हमारी जो आवाम है वो बड़ी लापरवाही कर रही है इसके ऊपर.
In the last 24 hours, Pakistan reported 6,397 new coronavirus cases, taking the total number of infections in the country to 125,933 as of Friday. The World Health Organization earlier this week recommended Pakistani authorities reimpose intermittent lockdowns of targeted areas to curb coronavirus spread, stating the country did not meet the conditions for lifting restrictions.
More on news from Pakistan. An accountability court in Islamabad on Thursday issued non-bailable arrest warrant for former Pakistani Premier Nawaz Sharif over his continuous absence from proceedings in the Toshkhana gift depository reference. Pakistan's former President Asif Ali Zardari and ex-Prime Ministers Nawaz Sharif and Yusuf Raza Jalani have been accused by the National Accountability Bureau of misusing official gifts given to them by foreign states. The presidents and prime ministers have to deposit these gifts in Toshkhana according to rules. In case they want to retain such gifts, they have to pay a concessional amount to the National Exchequer. The court has adjourned the hearing of the case until June 30th. U.S. Central Command's top general Kenneth F. McKenzie has said that he cannot recommend a full withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan unless the Taliban demonstrates that it no longer supports Al-Qaeda forces there.
The U.S. Central Command's top general Kenneth F. McKenzie has said that he cannot recommend a full withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan unless the Taliban demonstrates that it no longer supports Al-Qaeda forces there. While addressing a video conference hosted by the Washington-based think tank Middle East Institute this week, General McKenzie said, "If conditions would allow, we are prepared to go to zero. However, those conditions have not been fully met." His remarks come as the United States is currently on track to reduce troops to 8,600 by next month as part of a larger withdrawal plan, provided that conditions are met by the Taliban.
This conference certainly realizes that the threat to the United States is not the Taliban. It's never been the Taliban. It's the entities that they allow to live in Afghanistan that threaten us. And really, we're talking about ISIS and we're talking about Al-Qaeda.
A recent UN report had also indicated that the Taliban had not severed its vast ties to Al-Qaeda and might have actually strengthened them in recent months. Some 400 to 600 Al-Qaeda fighters remain in Afghanistan, where they operate in 12 of the nation's 34 provinces, according to the UN report. US Special Envoy Zalmay Khalilzad, who has been making efforts to initiate intra-Afghan talks, had earlier said that the US is monitoring closely what happens with regard to terrorism in terms of delivery on the commitments that the Taliban has made.
Artists in Afghan capital Kabul painted a mural of George Floyd on a blast wall this week, joining protests against racial injustice and police brutality that have spread around the world since the black man died while in police custody in the United States.
Artists in Afghan capital Kabul painted a mural of George Floyd on a blast wall this week, joining protests against racial injustice and police brutality that have spread around the world since the black man died while in police custody in Minneapolis. The group behind the painting is Art Lords, a group which views art as a tool for social change. A Kabul resident said it was painful to watch the video of Floyd. The artist also painted an Iranian flag next to Floyd in reference to an incident widely viewed in Afghanistan on social media of a car carrying refugees being set ablaze in Iran. The viral video has stoked public anger.
فلوید که از فعلا یک چهره جهانی است و جورج فلوید در امریکا و اثر تبعیض و خاطر سیاه بودنش از بین رفته است و ما خواستیم با توسط هنر خود و طور حمایت خود را از جورج فلوید اعلان کنیم و در افغانستان تبعیض وجود دارد و ما می‌خواهیم توسط همین هنر خود به تبعیض نبگوییم و برای ما مردم افغانستان تبعیض معنا ندارد، فقط انسانیت و مسلمانیت.
Afghans have for decades sought refuge in Iran from war and poverty in their homeland. Art lords are known for painting murals with messages of peace and social justice on concrete glass walls in the Afghan capital that were erected to ward off militant bombs.
Business owners hope to bounce back in Nepal as the government has allowed certain businesses to reopen as part of eased lockdown restrictions. The lockdown imposed since late March took a huge toll on the Himalayan nation's economy.
Business owners hope to bounce back in Nepal as the government has eased lockdown restrictions, allowing certain businesses to reopen. After over 2.5 months of lockdown, the Nepal government on Thursday evening formally announced to allow retail and wholesale markets to operate, ensuring necessary precautions to stem coronavirus spread. Film halls, amusement parks and hotels, however, continue to remain shut, while takeaway is allowed from restaurants. The government has also allowed private vehicles to ply on the road on the basis of odd-even number plates.
गर्दाखेरि जस खुसी लागेछ एक त खुसी पनि लागेछ अहिले फेरि अब झन् अब वृद्धि भइराछ डर पनि छ अब दूरी कायम गरेर अब आफै सजगता भएर अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ.
The lockdown in Nepal was imposed on March 24th and was extended for the 7th time until June 14. The decision to relax the lockdown has come despite rapid rise in coronavirus cases in the country in the recent days, as the number of cases have reached 4,614 with 15 deaths so far.
India's iconic Mahabodhi Buddhist temple in eastern Bihar province reopened this week after over 2 months of coronavirus lockdown. Meanwhile, devotees in northern and southern India were seen visiting temples to offer prayers as places of worship have been allowed to open despite the increasing number of cases.
India's iconic Mahabodhi Buddhist temple, the place where the Buddha is believed to have attained enlightenment, reopened after over 2 months of coronavirus lockdown on Wednesday. The temple complex in eastern Bodh Gaya city, which usually used to be jam-packed with thousands of pilgrims and tourists every year, remained quiet with only a handful of monks conducting the prayers. Worshippers were seen wearing masks, maintaining social distance and undergoing thermal scanning at the temple's entry gate to prevent the virus spread.
2 महीना से ज़्यादा हम लोग ये मंदिर में आ नहीं सका कोरोना के चलते, लेकिन भगवान बुद्ध का कृपा से इस धरती पे कोरोना तो हुआ ही नहीं, तो इसीलिए हम लोग बहुत खुशी रह गया. फिर भी आज का दिन मौका मिला मंदिर आने के लिए रूल्स के अनुसार, फिर भी अच्छा लगा, बहुत शांति मिला.
Worshippers in capital New Delhi and famous Tirupati temple in southern India's Andhra Pradesh province on Thursday were seen wearing masks, maintaining social distance and undergoing thermal scanning at the temple's entry gate.
बाहर है बाहर तो उनको पूरा रूटीन चेकअप हो रहा है, उसके बाद सैनिटाइज किया जा रहा है और एक एक करके आदमी आ रहे हैं. एक टाइम में हम 10 आदमी निकाल रहे हैं. 1 सेकंड के लिए सिर्फ ओनली फॉर 1 मिनट के लिए आदमी रोका जा रहा है, उसके बाद सीधे वहाँ से होते हुए आपके सामने द्वारका माई से सीधे बाहर निकल रहे हैं. बाकी किसी भी भक्त का प्रसाद फूल इत्यादि कोई प्रकार का नहीं चलाया जा रहा है.
Earlier this week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government lifted most restrictions on public places, including places of worship, but restricted the distribution of food offerings, sprinkling of holy water and touching of idols and holy books.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend.
Subscribe TAG TV YouTube channel and press the notification button.